Good evening and welcome to Cronkite Cut. I'm Faith Abercrombie.
And I'm Quentin Walker. Thank you for joining us. Ding dong, Christmas bells are ringing. At least for Apple TV, they are. The tech giant's soon-to-be streaming service has won the rights to a live-action musical retelling of A Christmas Carol. Better yet, the film is set to star and be produced by none other than Ryan Reynolds and Will Ferrell. According to reports, acquiring the film was a tough buy. Apple TV had to fight against media giants including Warner Brothers, Paramount, and Netflix. Ultimately, Apple won the bidding war by a large margin. Allegedly, Reynolds and Ferrell pitched a Netflix salary of $35 million and $25 million, respectively. Apple TV's Christmas Carol retelling will join a list of many past remakes from other studios. The film is currently set to include an all-new original song, track, and will be available sometime in the next year and a half. I think that's crazy that, Will Ferrell singing in a Christmas musical? He's gonna really sing out here.
I mean, let's look back at Buddy the Elf. Come on, one of the best Christmas movies of all time.
He was singing, and he was in a store, and he was singing, and everybody likes that, so it's gotta be good on this one, right?
It's got to be good. I mean, Christmas is, you can't go wrong with Christmas and Will Ferrell. I think it's just gonna be, it has to live up to Elf, so hopefully it does.
We'll see.
Well, it looks like the popular 80s and 90s shows are making a comeback with reboots lately.
So far, we have Full House, Boy Meets World, and now a reboot of Saved by the Bell coming our way. But it turns out Tiffany Thiessen, who played Kelly Kapowski, and Mark Paul Gosselaar, who played Zach Morris, didn't know the reboot was happening. Come on, guys. Thiessen says she found out about the new show when the general public found out. She also says her and her former co-star Gosselaar will most likely not make an appearance because both of them have shows of their own. However, Mario Lopez and Elizabeth Berkley will be reprising their roles again. There's no set date when the show will premiere, but it will be launched on the new streaming service Peacock, which will be released in April of 2020. Amanda Day, Cronkite Cut.
Breaking Bad fans are ecstatic. It was announced Saturday that a Breaking Bad movie will be released October 11th. The movie will be called El Camino and will take place the following events of the TV series. There are plans for the movie to come out on Netflix first, then later on the big screen in AMC theaters. This anticipated film has no doubt caused some buzz in the Breaking Bad fan community. I mean, for me, this is like if Gossip Girl had a movie. I would be there in the AMC theater as soon as it came out. I'm sure these fans are ecstatic.
I've never seen Breaking Bad, but if there was a Modern Family movie, and if they could make it a movie musical in Christmas time, I mean, with Will Ferrell, I would see that. I would pay to see that.
You have some ideas going on there, Quentin.
Well, well-known Jeopardy host Alex Trebek has revealed more than just Jeopardy answers recently. The host has recently mentioned that his time on the show may soon be coming to an end. Here is reporter Ryan Vlahovic with more on the story.
Alex Trebek's battle with stage 4 pancreatic cancer is a part of his life he never tried to hide. But as time went on, the Jeopardy host hinted that his long tenure on the show may be nearing an end. Trebek told reporters he sometimes hears himself slurring his words on the quiz show as a result of sores in his mouth from chemotherapy. Trebek said, "I will keep on doing the show as long as my skills do not diminish," and they have. Because so many fans lean on him as a source of strength in their own battles, Trebek says he regrets going public so soon, saying he doesn't think he can take on so much of other people's pain. In the studio, Ryan Vlahovic, Cronkite Cut.
Voice fans, listen up. It looks like season 18 of The Voice will be welcoming one of the Jonas brothers as a newest coach for next spring. Star Nick Jonas's upcoming appearance on The Voice was revealed on the Ellen DeGeneres show Monday. That's right, Nick will be joining other stars Blake Shelton, John Legend, and Kelly Clarkson as a new coach. Only time will tell how he does on the show. I'm not so sure if he's quite out of his career enough to be judging a show. I feel like he's just getting started right now.
I mean, for me, selfishly, this is perfect. I want to see as much of the Jonas Brothers as I can. Yes, I think they're killing it right now, and this is perfect. I feel like they're taking every opportunity that they can right now, and I think he'll do great.
Well, before this year, the Jonas Brothers was the only concert I have ever been to in my life. So
okay, so you're an original fan.
I am, so I'm excited, but I want to see him succeed on his current tour as well, which we'll have to go see in December, right?
I agree. We have to go make a trip.
It's
and
a
go
plan. There we go.
Well, the queen of spreading kindness truly does practice what she preaches. This past weekend, a picture of Ellen DeGeneres sitting next to former President George W. Bush during the Cowboys and Packers football game absolutely exploded the internet. Here's reporter Milan Andrade with more.
Of course, Twitter did its job in turning the picture into a meme, which of course resulted in jokes, but DeGeneres used her platform to make the message she practices very clear. During the Fire Tweets, one lucky fan was able to have this tweet shown on her show. DeGeneres explains how of course she knew she was going to be surrounded by people with different beliefs by adding some comic relief, saying, quote, "I'm not talking about politics. I was rooting for the Packers, and get this, everybody in the Cowboys suite was rooting for the Cowboys. I had to hide my cheese hat in Portia's purse," close quote. Besides the drama, at the end of the day, it's all about being kind to one another. In the studio, Milan Andrade, Cronkite Cut.
Controversy about the new Joker movie soundtrack is currently being discussed. One of the songs in the film was written by a convicted pedophile, Gary Glitter. The song Rock and Roll Part 2 is played in an iconic scene when the main character dances down the steps near his apartment. It has also been reported that Glitter will receive a sum of money for allowing his song to be used. Although the amount of money is still unknown, much has been said about whether Glitter should receive a big payment or not.
Miley Cyrus finds herself in the public eye once again since her split from both Liam Hemsworth and Caitlyn Carter. This time, she's kissing Cody Simpson. After noticing the negative publicity for her on and off relationships, Miley took to Twitter to defend herself. The singer wrote about how men are rarely shamed in the news for moving on from one beautiful woman to the next. Instead, they are praised. She went on to write that she wouldn't trade her life for privacy, but says, "Don't make it awkward for her." She made it clear that she plans to keep dating and asks the question, quote, "Can't I just have a kiss and an acai bowl?" In the studio, Alexandra Williams, Cronkite Cut.
A recent donation to Morehouse College consists of $13 million. Oprah Winfrey recently announced that she will be donating the money to help continue her scholarship program at the school. The scholarship program helps support African American men. Oprah had previously donated $12 million to the school in 1989. This means that her overall donations to the institution come to a grand total of $25 million.
The Arizona State Fair has many events and activities. However, one sticks out above the rest. Figure 8 racing made its first appearance at the fair this year. Here's reporter Haley Forbes with more details on the event.
This week, I went to the Arizona State Fair to check out one of the star events of the fair, Figure 8 racing. I spoke with some of the drivers about how they got started with racing.
I'm here at the Arizona State Fair at the Figure 8 races. Now, you may be asking yourself, what even is Figure 8 racing? Well, Figure 8 racing is just like any other race, but with a twist. The track is in the shape of a figure 8, and where the track crosses is a recipe for disaster. There's accidents that happen left and right, and the trick is, you have to be able to withstand these crashes and avoid them so that you can take first place. So what got you into Figure 8 racing in the first place?
Well, Kenya was doing just a random Figure 8 race, and I told my dad, I was like, I really want to run it, so we got my car together, which was actually my hairstock that was running at Kenya for the single track racing. And we said we were going to Figure 8 it, and I went out and got third.
How long have you been racing for?
Oh, I've been racing for about 25 years in dirt track racing, period. Not just this, but other things. My whole family does this every year. We do it once a year. There's probably about 10 of us. I take care of 2 cars. I'm with Team Pigley's. They're a vendor here at the fair, and I take care of 2 cars, and we do really well. And I've been doing the Figure 8s personally myself for about 20 years, and I'm the winningest driver here ever. There's no one that's ever been really close to catching my wins here at the Arizona State Fair. So it's a blast, it's fun, it's a 1-year deal. We get it once a year in October every year. So if you guys ain't never watched Figure 8 racing, it's something you gotta watch because you'll be back every year to watch it, I promise.
2, 1.
Even though Figure 8 racing is over until next year, the fair is open until October 27th. The fair has tons of other exciting events still to come, such as a rodeo, a monster truck show, and of course, all the food. In the studio, Haley Forbes, Cronkite Cut.
Let me tell you, people are not happy about famous YouTuber and former celebrity Big Brother contestant Trisha Paytas' latest video. In this 15-minute long video, Paytas says that she is for sure transgender, but she also says that she identifies as her natural-born gender. These statements made by Paytas quickly drew attention to the YouTuber, and many fans believed this video was just for clickbait. Paytas quickly came out with an apology video the day after and apologized to anyone she offended. Paytas confirmed that the video was in fact not clickbait, but she did say sorry to everyone who thought she was making fun of the LGBTQ community. Friend and YouTuber Gigi Gorgeous also released a video saying that she did talk to Paytas on the phone after watching the video and the transgender label was confirmed. Gigi did say that she may not have agreed with some things that Paytas said, but nobody should have hate directed towards them. I just think nowadays you have to be so careful about what you upload on YouTube. I mean, this video got millions of views.
Right, every movie has a sequel. It seems every YouTube video now has an apology video.
I know.
Just the next day. They really need to consider how their message is being received and to which audience it is going to.
I agree, because you might think you're conveying it one way, but millions of fans are taking it a completely different other way, obviously.
Absolutely. Well, the star of the next Bachelor season, Peter Weber, got injured in an accident that required stitches. Although it is unclear exactly what his injury was, it has been reported that the star received stitches on his head. Luckily, he managed to avoid any harm to his face. In spite of the incident, the star is currently recovering and is already working back on set.
Well, that's it for this week's episode of Cronkite Cut.
For a behind-the-scenes look at our content, be sure to follow us on social media at @thecut_network.
And make sure to stick around for an all-new Sports Cut up next.
My name is Mark Lodato, and I'm the Associate Dean at the Cronkite School.
I'm Kristen Gilger, Senior Associate Dean at the Walter Cronkite School.
Hi, I'm Chris Callahan. I'm the Dean and a Professor at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University, and I'm delighted today to be talking about the Cut Network.
What's most exciting to me right now is that students and future journalists have the opportunity to take their career in so many different directions. When I was coming up through the journalism ranks, it was pretty much television, radio, or newspapers. But look at what you can do with these skills today. You've got traditional media outlets, but you also have all sorts of new platforms and ways in which you can be a good storyteller. And then you've also got those core skills of critical thinking, strong communication, and writing, and you can literally take that anywhere. So I like to remind students that while a media job may be the first step in their career, that career can go down all sorts of different paths over the course of time, and you can end up in a really exciting and challenging place.
My favorite part about the journalism industry, pretty much everything. We just talked about this in Journalism 110 this morning, and there's so many different reasons to be excited about being a journalist, that you're providing a public service, that you're connected to your community, that you get to explore issues that you're interested in, you get to inform your community in very, very powerful ways, but also it's highly creative, and there's a significant fun factor involved, that you get the job at its essence is going out and talking to interesting people about interesting things, and then producing content around that, and that is unbelievably rewarding.
You're going to doubt yourself sometimes. You're going to doubt whether this is even the right choice for you sometimes, and that's fine, because doubting can make you think more deeply about things, ask more questions, listen more closely, but in the end, you should follow your passion. You should follow the thing that makes you happy and excited and engaged and interested. And if journalism does that, if public relations does that, if sports reporting does that, if creating new forms of media does that, then that's what you should do.
Good evening and welcome to the Sports Cut. I'm Simon Williams.
And I'm Sarah Detweiler. Thank you for joining us.
Our first story of the day comes from the NBA. And despite this being the tip-off for the league's preseason slate, the biggest news is barely about basketball. Houston Rockets general manager Daryl Morey has come under fire for a tweet that lauded the efforts of pro-democracy protests in Hong Kong, so much so that his job might be in jeopardy. On Tuesday, Morey tweeted and then rapidly deleted a graphic with the words "Fight for freedom, fight for Hong Kong," which has been a tagline synonymous with pro-democracy protesters there and abroad. The tweet's swift removal and onslaught of statements from team and league officials turned what seemed like a benign showing of solidarity to a moment where sports became geopolitical controversy. The situation, which has gripped the globe's attention since the late spring, surrounds a bill proposed by Chief Executive Carrie Lam, which would extradite criminal suspects in the sovereign nation of Hong Kong to mainland China. Protesters feel that this could lead to greater deterioration of their civil liberties and a submission to the communist Chinese government. China demanded that Morey's tweet be redacted, but there might be more pressure on the GM from within his own circles. Rockets owner Tillman Fertitta went so far as to publicly rebuke Morey in the Houston Chronicle. The NBA posted bilingual statements saying they were disappointed in Morey's inappropriate tweet. League Commissioner Adam Silver has since added publicly to the NBA's formal statement that he and the league supports Morey's individual rights to expression, but wishes his actions had not upset so many Chinese fans. The explosive response from the league has called to mind a notion of hypocrisy from the likes of Jamel Hill and Clay Travis, two figures who position themselves on stark contrasts of the sports media landscape. For a league widely seen as the most progressive and host to some of the world's most socially conscious individuals, condemning Morey for pro-democracy comments stands starkly against previous positions the league has taken on social justice issues like LGBTQ plus rights and police brutality. With this all going on, it's hard to ignore the poignancy. Just last night, the Philadelphia 76ers defeated the Shenzhou Long Lions 144-86 in the third and final preseason game between NBA and CBA teams. Later this year, though, the Nets and Los Angeles Lakers will play 2 regular season games in Shenzhen on China's mainland.
Well, I mean, it just should be interesting, like you said, that this preseason just started and it seems like a little bit of a rocky start for the Rockets, for the franchise as a whole, honestly. Yeah,
and for the Rockets being arguably one of the most popular franchises in Asia after having drafted Yao Ming in 2002, right. China's most famous basketball player, it seems like this will certainly carry specifically with the team, if not the larger league.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the MLB playoffs are in full swing with 1 game left before the NLCS and ALCS series begin. Nick Chesky has the latest.
The MLB playoffs started just last week and things are already heating up right about now. The New York Yankees beat the Minnesota Twins 5-1 on Monday to complete their sweep of the Twins. The Twins have now lost 15 straight playoff games, a drought that dates all the way back to 2004. But who will the Yankees play in the ALCS? Well, Thursday, the Houston Astros and the Tampa Bay Rays are facing off in a winner-take-all Game 5 to see who gets to play the Yanks. The St. Louis Cardinals and the Atlanta Braves clashed earlier today in a Game 5 series finale. The Cardinals dominated the game 13-1 to advance to the NLCS. The Cardinals' opponent in the NLCS is being decided right now in an epic Game 5 matchup in Los Angeles between the Dodgers and the Washington Nationals. For the Sports Cut, I'm Nick Chesky.
Yesterday, the San Francisco 49ers defeated the Cleveland Browns in a 31-3 win. The 49ers defensive end, Nick Bosa, had a big game with 2 sacks, a forced fumble, and a fumble recovery.
According to ESPN stats, he is the first 49ers player in 25 years with that stat line. This past weekend, the Arizona Coyotes opened up their 2019 homestand. For more on the story, we go to our reporter, Connor McGill.
Excitement is only one of a few words that surrounds the Arizona Coyotes team this season. After going 39-35-8 last season and barely missing out on the playoffs, the Coyotes are looking to make a big statement this season. This past weekend, the team took to the ice in Glendale for their home opener versus the Boston Bruins, and we take you to the biggest highlight of that game. The Boston Bruins getting things started in the first period of play. A big goal right there by number 63, Brad Marchand. The Coyotes fall in this one 1-0, but they did outshoot the Bruins by 9 shots. The Coyotes will take on the Vegas Golden Knights on Thursday, looking for their first win of the season. Connor McGill, The Sports Cut.
The 49ers were on fire this week, thanks in part because of another player record. 2 minutes into the game, on the team's first offensive drive, Niners running back Matt Breida shredded the Browns defense on an 83-yard score where he hit a top speed of 22.3 miles per hour. According to the NFL's next-gen stats, Breida's speed is the fastest reached by a ball carrier on any play in the last 2 years.
Well, the WNBA Finals is coming to a close with just one more game left after today. Amna Savhan has the latest on the matchup between the Mystics and the Suns.
The Connecticut Sun held off a late run by the Washington Mystics after relinquishing their lead early in the fourth. The Suns' balanced scoring led to their victory, with all starters scoring in double figures. Meanwhile, the Mystics struggled to match the Suns' physicality. A large contributor, the back injury to this season's MVP, Elena Delle Donne. Delle Donne has played through the herniated disc in her back, but has not looked the same. We'll see if she is able to muster up the strength for the winner-take-all Game 5. For the Sports Cut, I'm Amna Savhan.
Tuesday at the World Gymnastics Championship held in Germany, Simone Biles won her 21st medal. That was the 15th World Championship gold medal of Simone's career. She broke a tie with the Russian gymnast for most medals overall by a woman at the World Championship and is now 2 gold medals away from tying the men and women's record. Fox Sports made a big announcement on Tuesday introducing their newest football analyst, and who else better than the Gronk himself. Former Patriots star tight end Rob Gronkowski will be joining the Fox Sports NFL crew just 6 months after officially announcing his retirement from the league. Former teammate Tom Brady had a lot of praise regarding the announcement, stating, quote, "He'll be good. He's been good at everything he's done." Fox executive producer Brad Zager also had some positive words regarding his newest addition, stating, quote, "His passion for the game and larger-than-life personality make him a perfect fit." Gronkowski will make his debut Thursday night on the Fox Sports pregame show as the Patriots take on the New York Giants in New England.
It's got to be pretty interesting for Patriots fans. Just recently, winning a Super Bowl, having a key component of that team now be on the commentary for their team's biggest game against the upstart Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. What do you think it's going to be like for Gronk in the booth after just having played so recently?
Well, it's been a very recent. People have been speculating whether or not he will be joining the league again. It's still up in the air, and I think, especially opening with the Patriots playing New York, I just think it should be interesting to see if he actually misses the sport enough to want to go back. It's been done before, so I think, maybe why not?
Yeah, Jason Witten just returned to play for the Cowboys after a color commentary role on television at the same position, tight end. So we'll have to see if that keeps up with Gronk as well.
Should be interesting to see as well, yes. It is now time for a highlight of the week.
Let's take a look.
Now, this week's highlight is a bit different.
We go to Tampa Bay, where Game 4 of the ALDS between the Rays and Astros is underway. Rays left fielder Austin Meadows is up to bat in the bottom of the 8th, and on a 2-2 count fouls a seemingly meaningless ball to right field.
When the ball was hit, the Buccaneers tight end O.J. Howard grabs it out of the air barehanded to make a great catch. Wearing a Tampa Bay hat, he celebrates with the crowd to have caught a ball from the winning team.
He had as many catches in Tampa Bay at the baseball game that he did for the Buccaneers this past week in New Orleans.
Well, why not start his career off like that then this season? Well, that's it for this episode of The Sports Cut.
For a behind-the-scenes look at our content, make sure to follow us on social media at @thecut_network.
Stay tuned for The Cut for news after the break.
My name is Mark Lodato, and I'm the Associate Dean at the Cronkite School.
I'm Kristen Gilger, Senior Associate Dean at the Walter Cronkite School.
Hi, I'm Chris Callahan. I'm the Dean and a Professor at the Walter Cronkite School of Journalism and Mass Communication at Arizona State University, and I'm delighted today to be talking about the Cut Network.
What's most exciting to me right now is that students and future journalists have the opportunity to take their career in so many different directions. When I was coming up through the journalism ranks, it was pretty much television, radio, or newspapers. But look at what you can do with these skills today. You've got traditional media outlets, but you also have all sorts of new platforms and ways in which you can be a good storyteller. And then you've also got those core skills of critical thinking, strong communication, and writing, and you can literally take that anywhere. So I like to remind students that while a media job may be the first step in their career, that career can go down all sorts of different paths over the course of time, and you can end up in a really exciting and challenging place.
My favorite part about the journalism industry, pretty much everything. We just talked about this in Journalism 110 this morning, and there's so many different reasons to be excited about being a journalist, that you're providing a public service, that you're connected to your community, that you get to explore issues that you're interested in, you get to inform your community in very, very powerful ways, but also it's highly creative, and there's a significant fun factor involved, that you get the job at its essence is going out and talking to interesting people about interesting things, and then producing content around that, and that is unbelievably rewarding.
You're going to doubt yourself sometimes. You're going to doubt whether this is even the right choice for you sometimes, and that's fine, because doubting can make you think more deeply about things, ask more questions, listen more closely, but in the end, you should follow your passion. You should follow the thing that makes you happy and excited and engaged and interested. And if journalism does that, if public relations does that, if sports reporting does that, if creating new forms of media does that, then that's what you should do.
Good evening and welcome to Cut for News. I'm Carolina Hassett.
And I'm Athena Ankra. Thank you for joining us.
4 people were killed and at least 5 others were injured this past Sunday in a shooting that took place at the Tequila KC bar in Kansas City. Jose Valdez, the bartender that night, said the problem started when he refused to serve a man a drink who had caused problems earlier. The man proceeded to throw a glass at Valdez and was then thrown out of the bar. A few hours later, the man and a second gunman came in and started shooting. Suspect Javier Alatorre has been taken into custody after the trial early Tuesday morning. Other suspect, Hugo Villanueva Morales, is still being sought out by police officials. Both suspects have been charged with 4 counts of first-degree murder. One victim, Francisco Garcia Anaya, was with his fiancée Jessica at the bar that night. She tried everything she could do to save his life and held him as he took his last breath. The couple was planning on getting married within the next year. Athena, this is obviously some really hard-hitting stuff, and so far there hasn't been much information about the suspects on, what their motive was or where they got the weapons, but the most important part, I think, is just to keep the victims' families in our thoughts.
Yes, I totally agree. I think hearing this news was it's very jarring anytime there's any kind of shooting, but it's also, at this point, I think not surprising. So I believe that it begs to stand the question, when do thoughts and prayers turn into policy and action? So I think that's the question a lot of America is asking right now. News of a second whistleblower in the Trump administration has recently surfaced. Cut for News specialist Alyssa Stoney has the story.
Reports have been confirmed about a second whistleblower who has information about President Trump's interactions with Ukraine. Attorney Mark Zaid, who represented the first whistleblower, said his team is representing a second whistleblower who has, quote, first-hand knowledge that supports claims made by the first whistleblower, as reported by CNN. Zaid told CNN the second individual works in the intelligence community and has spoken to the Inspector General but has not filed complaints yet. Attorney Andrew Bacchus, who also represents the whistleblowers, tweeted Sunday that he can confirm his team represents multiple whistleblowers and he has no further comment at this time. Bacchus didn't confirm how many people his team is representing. The reports of the second whistleblower come as the House Democrats increases their impeachment inquiry. From the studio, Alyssa Stoney, Cut for News.
Now reporter Valeria Rodriguez has a story in regards to a dementia patient being defrauded over $700,000.
Ex-nursing home workers Tamika Wolf and Christina Wright have been charged with the felony of financial exploitation of an elder.
Ex-nursing home workers Tamika Wolf and Christina Wright have been charged with the felony of financial exploitation of an elder. The duo had defrauded over $70,000 from Grace Wannabe's bank account over the past year, which included cash checks and ATM withdrawals. Wannabe suffers from dementia and has been staying in the Symphony residence of Lincoln Park in Chicago. Symphony had declined to comment on the arrests. A bond has been set at $20,000 for each of them and are barred with unsupervised contact with seniors. In the studio, Valera Rodriguez, Cut for News.
Now we're going to send it over to our very own Caroline Smirk for an update on an issue with President Trump, the U.S. military, and Syria.
President Trump is receiving backlash from both Democrats and Republicans over the White House's recent decisions over military operations in Syria. On Sunday, the White House issued a statement saying that the U.S. will pull its troops out of northern Syria, giving Turkey the green light to operate. In a tweet, the commander-in-chief said, quote, "It is time for us to get out of these ridiculous, endless wars, many of them tribal, and bring our soldiers home." However, many of the president's allies disapprove of the decision. Republican Senator Lindsey Graham tweeted that the situation is a, quote, disaster. In a statement, Senate Minority Leader Mitch McConnell said that the withdrawal of U.S. forces in Syria could, quote, increase the risk that ISIS and other terrorist groups regroup. Despite the backlash, the White House still plans to go through with operations. From the studio, Caroline Smirk, Cut for News.
The Trump administration is expected to announce their plans to exit the Open Skies Treaty, according to CNN. The treaty, which was signed in 1992 and has been in effect since 2002, allows 34 state members to conduct unarmed surveillance flights over one another's territory. The treaty is designed to help verify arms control agreements. Democrats were quick to criticize this move, stating, quote, "Pulling out of the Open Skies Agreement, an important multilateral arms control agreement, would be yet another gift from the Trump administration to Putin." So, Athena, this is obviously a very controversial topic that obviously Republicans and Democrats are going to clash. I think the Republicans are saying that we have enough money and that we should probably pull out because they think we have enough satellites around the world to keep an eye on military activity in other countries. However, the Democrats are saying this could possibly get really dangerous, especially because it was an unarmed treaty and that the U.S. kind of always had an idea of when they were going to come. So now that that's off the table, they're thinking this is going to get very dangerous.
Yes, no one knows what to expect, really, going to be the outcome of this pullout. I think it goes to show another sign of the current administration lacking in transparency, and of course, this might be a detriment to the country as a whole because we don't have access to understanding what the other states are doing with their arms or whether they're sticking to agreements, and they don't have that same trust in us anymore. Cut for News specialist Brooke Dixon recently looked into a trend impacting our wildlife here in Arizona. Let's send it over to her for the story.
If you have found yourself tubing down the Salt River in recent years, you may have noticed some drastic changes. Over time, Salt River horses have become very comfortable with humans. Wildlife preservation experts are concerned for the horses' well-being, as it is not instinctual for wild horses to be comfortable around people. In 2016, Governor Doug Ducey passed a bill that was intended to increase environmental efforts towards supporting a better habitat for these horses. However, not much improvement has been seen since the bill has passed. Currently, these horses are facing diseases due to overproduction and are struggling to find food. As a result, these horses are familiarizing themselves with humans, expecting them to provide food. Environmental experts such as Simone Netherlands run a horse management group in hopes of providing these horses a safe home. This horse management group hopes to reduce the number of these horses from about 450 to 200 in order to help them survive. From the studio, this is Brooke, Cut for News.
Yesterday, the Supreme Court took on cases regarding the rights of the LGBTQ+ community. Initial reports show that the court seems divided on whether Title VII, or the Civil Rights Act of 1964's protection against employment discrimination, extends to cover LGBTQ+. Two of the cases include claims of discrimination by employers based upon their sexual orientation, and the third based upon gender identity. Conservative Justice Samuel Alito says that to rule that the
law covers this type of discrimination is, quote, a different policy issue than was initially addressed in the civil rights cases. Liberal Justices Ruth Bader Ginsburg and Sonia Sotomayor disagree. Sotomayor asked the court, quote, at what point does a court continue to allow invidious discrimination? We can't deny that homosexuals are being fired just for who they are. As this story develops, thousands of protesters have been meeting in the nation's capital, anxiously awaiting a final verdict. This case harkens back to the one we saw back in 2015 with thousands of people growing in support for the LGBTQ plus community back when gay same-sex marriage was legalized. So I doubt that any of that support has gone away. What are your thoughts on this particular case?
Yeah, I mean, I think the main argument that the people are making is that when you read the Civil Rights Act, one of the first things that is listed is sex, and they think that gender identification and sexual orientation is underneath that category. So they're saying, why is it still being questioned? So it'll be interesting to see what the Supreme Court says about this whole issue, and I think the most important thing to remember is that it's people standing up for the equality of others, which I think should always be done.
Right. So what's the weather look like across Arizona?
Caitlin Keenahan is in the Cronkite Weather Center tracking the latest.
Thank you so much. Fall is well along its way, and thank God it's finally spooky season. I've been looking forward to this. So coming up on the show today, talking about the cold front, risk of fires, and the weather, as normal. So let's take a look at this cold front that's coming in. So basically what we're gonna see is as that comes down, it's gonna get a lot cooler down here in Phoenix, and dry air is gonna be following that front. So what that means is really high risk of wildfires up north by Flagstaff, and for us and down in Phoenix, it's just gonna be windy. And let's actually take a look at the temperatures for the rest of the week. We're gonna see a high of 93 on Wednesday, and then Thursday through Sunday here, we're gonna see 60s. In the evenings. That's our low. So that's pretty cold for Arizona. Might want to, settle into spooky season. Grab a scarf, grab some gloves. It's going to be a nice one, folks. Back to you guys.
Thank you, Caitlin. Twitter has become a prominent outlet for politicians to voice their thoughts. Former Secretary of State Hillary Clinton took to Twitter after President Trump taunted her about entering the 2020 election, replying, quote, "Don't tempt me, do your job," end quote. So this is the topic of our edition of Political Discussion this week. There's a little bit to unpack here. So we've got even more conflict between these two parties that seem to have been at odds since way back in 2016 during that presidential election, and it continues to today.
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I thought of when I heard about this was, well, we're back at it again, like Clinton versus Trump. Yeah, I mean, I think getting closer to the election, we're going to see a lot more of this banter, especially between these two. But I think, honestly, all of the candidates should, I think, just be focusing on the campaign and just not really worrying about fighting on Twitter. This
and
goes
not
for
engaging,
everybody.
Right.
Yeah, so, but this certainly won't be the last that we see of this, for sure. Well, that's it for this episode of Cut for News.
For a behind-the-scenes look at our content, be sure to follow us on social media at @the_cut_network.
Have a good night.